I serve as the board secretary of PSAVE, and I'm the moderator for today. Before we start, I would like to invite the chair to say a few words, welcome remarks to us. Then we'll go to our speaker. Chair, you're welcome.
A very good morning to all of you, and thank you for waking up on this public holiday and joining us today. I think it's not too late to still wish you a very happy and fruitful 2022. We have gone through difficult seasons, and we pray that in 2022 we have learned how to navigate our lives around. I want to thank each one of you for joining in. I see Paul all the way from Dubai, and it must be early, quite early there. Thank you for joining in. And I want also to thank each one of you for your participation in PSAVE, for being an active member. I want to thank in particular this week, we have taken off and we have called it a Members Week. In this week, we want to hear from you. We want to interact more with you. We want you to interact more with PSAVE. We want you to enhance and to recommit yourself to PSAVE. It's a time also we have taken off to appreciate the members. It's a time we want to also, going forward, to adapt, to have a Members Week where we interact more closely with the members and the members interact closely with us, and also to increase the visibility of PSAVE. We also want to get feedback from you, sincere feedback from you about how you have experienced the services of PSAVE, how you feel we could improve the services of PSAVE. So please interact on our social media pages and give us your sincere feedback. And what is the Customer Week about? One, we would like you to attend this financial literacy training and also to follow us on the social media platforms. We encourage you also to visit us in any of our outlets, whether in Kololo, in Zambia, in Makere Hill, visit us in Lugazi, visit us in any of our outlets, even in Jinja and Masaka. So would like you also to purchase more shares. As you all know that PSAVE is a member-owned organization, and we are not borrowing from any other person, but we are using your savings, your shares, to help us give you good financial services. We also encourage you to participate in enhancing your savings to PSAVE and giving feedback. As we start this new year, a new year is a time to set new goals, a time to revisit your old goals, and a time to get rid of what you think is baggage to you and to your businesses and to your life as a whole. So we are starting this new year in our financial literacy training by learning together how to set achievable, realistic, and timely financial goals. I hope we are all ready to learn, to engage, and to learn something new about how to set good goals, achievable goals. And we are very privileged today to have us a speaker already she's in with us today, all the way from South Africa. Faith will introduce her to us. So mine was just to welcome you and leave time for our speaker today, Lisa, to share with us. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sure you'll all be blessed by today's sharing. And yes, remind all those who are not yet here on the call, let them know we are starting and they are missing out. Thank you so much. Over back to you, Faith.
Thank you, Chair, for those great insights. I will welcome our speaker for today. Lisa Ariyo is our speaker for today. She is a chartered certified accountant and a certified internal auditor, currently consulting in risk management and internal controls optimization. She is a two-time author of a recipe book and a book on investment clubs. She also holds a bachelor's degree of science in quantitative economics and currently works with the ABMI Research Institute based in South Africa. Lisa is the leader of an investment club that is now 8.5 years old and steadily counting. A lady of vast wealth. Lisa, you are very welcome.
Thank you, Faith.
And it's good to have you with us over here in Uganda. Yes, so you may take us away. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Hi, PSAVE. My name is Lisa Ariyo, like Faith has introduced me. I'm very happy to be here, very excited about the topic, setting and achieving financial goals. That's a topic that never gets old. It's a timeless topic, and so I hope we can have an interactive session today. I don't know if you prefer if I go through the presentation and then have time for questions later, or if we can interact as I go. But I'm going to put up my slides now, and then we can start. Please let me know if you can see my slide.
Yes.
Okay, so here we are, 2022, start of a new year, which means the fact that God has seen us alive to this point means He has a purpose for us, but we have a role to play as well. We have to do our part responsibly. And so today, that's what we're going to discuss. But before we talk about setting and achieving goals, I think one wants to take one step back. What is our vision anyway? Each and every person, the circle should have a vision, yes, but each and every person should also have a personal vision. Why? I'll take a quote from the good book, which says, where there's no vision, you will perish. You see, you can set goals every year. You can set goals this year, and then in 6 months, you're like, these goals, I don't like them. Let me set other goals. Then you set other goals next year. Then you say, maybe let me change these ones. The reasons why you keep dancing up and down is because you don't have an actual vision about where you're trying to go. So I think it's a good place to start to say, where are you trying to go? And then we set financial goals, and then we see how to achieve them. So when it comes to a vision, for example, in PSAVE as a member, the question is, how long are you in here for? Are you in PSAVE for the long haul? Is it something that is assisting you for 10 years? Are you here for perpetuity? You want your children to take over? Think about that. So have a vision for yourself in the context of PSAVE. Why are you here anyway? After saying I'm here for 20 years, okay, but what's your purpose in PSAVE? Are you trying to save? Are you here so that you can borrow cheaply, cheaper than the market rates? Are you trying to do both? Are you trying to grow? If you're trying to grow, then you have to have financial discipline. So this is kind of like a framework where you want to start. You want to start by answering these basic questions, and then PSAVE will make sense to you. And then you can set financial goals, and you can even use PSAVE as a vehicle to help you achieve those goals. So PSAVE as a circle has a vision and a mission. Why I'm bringing the vision and mission of PSAVE is because whatever your own personal vision and mission are should align with PSAVE's vision and mission. So PSAVE wants to be your preferred financial and investment partner. Excuse me. Their mission is to grow members' savings through smart investments and attractive credit. So you need to think about that and say, how do I position myself personally? I'm getting feedback. I don't know what's happening. Okay, how do I position myself personally to benefit from this engine? Sorry. To benefit from this engine. So if you're trying to get attractive credit and to be a part of smart investments by PSave, you have to have a strategy. So we started with a vision. What's your vision? You have a vision, PSave has a vision, but what's your strategy to achieve that vision? So for example, I was talking about PSave being that vehicle that can see you to achieve your personal financial goals and your collective financial goals as a circle. There's a consideration that I'm putting out for you. Consider operating as a multi-purpose cooperative. Why? Because if you want to achieve smart investments and attractive credit, maybe you need a vehicle that can do both for you. Maybe you need a vehicle that can help you achieve both worlds. So I'm just throwing this out there, but I'm trying to marry what your mission is with the vehicle that you have in PSave. I just want to move this thing down here. It's distracting me. Okay, so let's build this organization. Let's grow in this organization. This organization is ours. So I think there shouldn't be a separation between we are the members and they are the leadership. We all have a responsibility to play. Even if they run the day-to-day operations, you as a member has a responsibility to play. The only way this organization is growing and the only way you can build it is by your remittances, which are really the bedrock of this circle. So it all starts with you. Your savings, imagine if everybody is saving and PSave as a circle is accumulating reserves. And then PSave is multiplying those accumulated reserves. That's the only way your savings are going to grow. So it all starts here. And this is the role you have to play. So somebody might ask, I save sometimes I don't save. So why would I need to save consistently? So remember when you answer the question, how long are you here? Are you here for the long haul? It will kind of give you a sense of urgency. Because if you know I'm here for 10 years, then it's like, okay, how much do I want to earn by that time? Or even if you want to be here for the long haul and pass it on to your children, how much do you want to have earned by the time you pass on the baton to your children? So the reason why you should save consistently is because you will earn a higher interest income on higher savings. So already right there, you have extra income coming in at a higher rate. It will increase your equity. Equity could be through the purchase of shares or saving. And you know that when you borrow, your borrowing is based on the equity that you have in PSave. So increase your equity, increase your ownership in PSave. Increasing the reserves assures you of dividend payouts. So the better the company is doing, the more it can pay out dividends. So you won't have stories where dividends are paid once in 2 years, once a year. Get it to a point where dividends can be paid out every quarter, for example. But you see that the circle has to have the funds to do that. And so this is where your savings come in. As a co-owner, you participate in sustaining PSave. If you don't save, and if you don't save consistently, then PSave is choking. So you're choking the very engine that you want to get you to your financial destination. So as a co-owner, take it upon yourself to say, no, this thing has to survive and it has to be sustained. How is it sustained? It's sustained by the remittances of each member. Once the circle is doing well and thriving and is well-oiled, then there can even be discussions about increasing the share price. So that's increasing the value of each share you hold. Maybe the interest rate on your savings can also be a discussion where the rate is higher because the circle is doing better. Dividends, like I said, can be paid more regularly, but even more per share, more dividends per share. So it all comes down to your saving. Saving is the only way you will grow. It's the only way you will grow. When you don't save, you choke and you start to die actually. So if members are not saving regularly or buying shares, just know the circle is starting to die a slow death. Or if members are paying amounts that are never, there's when you're paying an amount that is reasonable and fair, or where it's too little, then you're growing at a very slow pace. So challenge yourselves as members. So allow me to build a scenario for you. Let's say everybody is saving, right? 1 member is saving, 10 members are saving, all members are saving because they understand the benefit of saving. As you save, you build reserves, like we said. PSave starts to have reserves. The reserves are increasing all the time. If we are taking that mission to heart, which says we want to have attractive credit, and we also want to have smart investments. We agree as a circle to say what percentage, what portion of our reserves go to credit, what portion of our reserves go to investments. That's a discussion you'll have as a circle. That portion can be anything depending on the circle. So it could be a 50-50 split, it could be 30-70, it could be 70-30, depending on what your key core objectives and vision is. Once you've done that split, then you say, let's implement strategies now to grow each arm. So you have the credit arm, which is where members borrow and all that. What strategies do we have to grow that? And then we have the investments arm. How do we grow that? When you keep doing that and repeating that cycle, then you're moving towards achieving your vision and mission, both as a circle and at a personal level. So let's talk about saving. So talking about setting financial goals now, set a goal for yourself as a member to say, what is that fixed minimum amount that I want to contribute to PSAVE? What minimum amount is that? So if the minimum amount is 50,000, minimum means on a good month, you can go above that. But challenge yourself to say, I need to have a minimum that I contribute every month or every 2 months, but get that number. And make sure it's something that kind of challenges you. It doesn't have to be exorbitant, but it also shouldn't be something where even if it got lost, you wouldn't blink twice. You need to commit to a fixed frequency. So it's one thing to say, may I put 50,000, but then get a fixed frequency. Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? When you get your salary, ideally, you remove 10% for tithe. Tax was already taken away before you even blinked. The next thing to deduct there is, how much am I putting aside for savings? That is good financial practice. How much am I putting aside for savings? So you could get a percentage. You could match your tithe, or you could say 5%, whatever. And then after that, the remaining money should be used now for life, for sustaining your family and all that. The mistake many people make is the tithe goes out, the tax goes out, then they first spend on everything, both important and luxurious. And then finally they say, whatever remains, that's what I'll save. And that's why sometimes you're saving 50,000, sometimes 20, sometimes nothing, because of course you spent it all on, the good, the bad, and the ugly stuff. So it's just to challenge you to say saving is as important. So once you've tithed, once you have had your taxes obviously taken away before you even can say anything, the next thing to put away is a saving and have a percentage. Have like 5, don't go below 5%. 5% of all I get, I put it into the circle to save. You get to build reserves. If everybody is doing that, then you're accumulating reserves. Then this machine that is serving all of you is well oiled. Every member is involved. Then you do the split, like I said. That would be with the management, or the management would say what percentage is allocated to credit. We said 50-50, maybe we said 30-70. Okay, 30% of what we have is for credit, 70% of what we have is allocated to investments. Then you start to grow. How do you grow? You grow by implementing now growth strategies. So the strategies that you apply to the funds allocated for credit are very different from the strategies you apply for the funds allocated to investments. Remember, the mission said we want to grow members' savings. We want to grow members' savings through smart investments and attractive credit. Now, because credit is money people need in real time, the strategies you have there cannot be investing in long-term assets. Why? Because those ones are not easily liquidated. So all the strategies will be around what can we liquidate in a short time. Yet the growth strategies for investments would be long-term. Once you have those strategies in place, you start to grow and you monitor performance. Even you as a member, you monitor how the circle is doing. You repeat that cycle. You continue to save. Remember, we said you get a fixed frequency. So every month you're saving your 70,000 shillings. The reserves are growing. When we say challenge yourself here under save, we're saying, let's say you put a number of 50,000 every month. After 1 year, challenge yourself to say, I need to increase this by 20,000. Then it will be 70. You save 70 every month for the second year. After that year, you say, so your strategy can be, let me increase my savings by maybe 20,000 every year or every 6 months. So don't also keep the number fixed for 10 years. You've been on 50,000 for 10 years. There you're lying to yourself. Why? Because there's been inflation. In other words, there's so many things that have eroded the value of that amount over the years. So also challenge yourself to kind of keep up. So 50 this year, 70 next year, 90 the next year, 110, or every 6 months, whatever works for you. So you save, the reserves grow, you achieve your vision and mission as PSAVE, but also at a personal level. So I'm going to get personal in the next slides to come. So we talked about the credit arm and the investment arm. The portion that goes to credit and investment is going to be a discussion within the circle, right? Now, credit really facilitates your short to medium term needs, financial needs, whereas the investment arm would be facilitating goals. So I think the mistake sometimes circles make, a pure circle which is only for credit, usually that credit is helping you achieve certain financial needs. It's not really helping you achieve long-term goals, medium to long-term goals. So the benefit of having both is that you can enjoy the best of both worlds. How do you benefit both ways? Number one, you're managing your risk by diversifying. Diversifying simply means you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. In the credit basket, everything is short-term, everything is money now. No, you're saying, let's have an amount dedicated to that, but let's also have an amount that is dedicated to long-term assets, which cannot be liquidated easily. So it kind of helps you in case the company shouldn't choke because people are not paying back credit. In other words, if people are not paying back their loans, at least you have an arm of investments that continues to gain. Not that people shouldn't pay, people definitely should, but it's just management of your risks. You'll tap into the benefits of long-term investments. So long-term investments comes with a higher return. I'll give you a simple example. A short-term investment is like a treasury bill. Treasury bills are like 1 year usually, and there'll be an interest rate on that compounded for the year. When you buy a treasury bond, for example, which is over 1 year, usually 3 years, 5 years, the rate is higher. Why? Because you're giving the government money for a longer period of time. So why wouldn't you want to benefit from tapping into the benefits of long-term investment? By doing both, you also maintain fair levels of liquidity. So what I mean is that arm that is credit ensures that you invest in shorter term kind of investments, which keeps you liquid. So in case somebody needs money, you need a loan today, like UAP, for example, the unit trusts they have, some of them you can get the money within 2 days, 3 days. So that means there's liquidity, you're fairly liquid. It's not a case where now we have to sell the land and then get you the money. That can take 6 months. So the benefit is that you still maintain fair levels of liquidity, but you also have your wealth growing on the other end. You invest in the full spectrum. That's another benefit. The full spectrum is short, medium, long-term assets. I'm talking about your savings growing. Remember, that's the mission. That's the mission. You create a situation where there's more funds coming back. What do I mean by that? In the long-term investments, you might say the circle has land or the circle has buildings that it's renting out for warehousing or for storage. That money that comes as income, for example, by renting out that land that the circle owns, it comes back here and can be channeled into the credit arm. So in other words, if now the rule is that you can borrow 2 times your equity, by having this other extra money coming in, it means that rule can even change to 3 times. Everything depends on how much money the circle has. But today, if the circle is cash strapped, it cannot be talking about more than 2 times. In fact, maybe they want to reduce, So you have extra income, which comes back then to even facilitate the credit arm, or you can reinvest that. And then that compounding will ensure that you're ever growing, you're forever growing. Results are tangible. Like I'm telling you, you separate credit and investment. You look at the results for credit and you know what to expect from short and medium term. You also look at the results from long term and you know what to expect from long term. Like I gave the example between treasury bills and bonds, for example. So let's look at each arm. Let's assume there's a portion of your regular savings. Keyword is regular. Regular savings allocated to credit, right? This is where now we're talking about your setting financial goals and achieving them. Sorry. So for the credit arm, we speak about financial needs. What are your financial needs? We're going to look at different needs. What are your options to meet those financial needs? But more critically, what is your responsibility? Because sometimes I think human beings have Sometimes we'd rather just sit and be entitled. We'd rather just say, I need money for this. Why don't they give us money? You know, why can't they reduce the interest rate on the borrowings? Why can't they give us 4 times more? You know, you can sit and complain and you know, and be entitled. But the real question is, what is your responsibility in all of this? You definitely have a responsibility, you as a member. So your responsibility to ensure that you create options for yourself to meet the needs that you have, the financial needs that you have. So the needs could be business support. Maybe you're running a business, you need a boost to take it to the next level. Or maybe it's a slowish period, it's COVID. You need to just sustain for some 6 months. So that could be one financial need. You could have moved into a new place with your 6 children and the landlord wants 6 months in advance. And that's the only place you can stay because it's next to the schools of your children, something like that. So rent in advance is maybe 6 months in advance. Each month of rent is 1 million shillings. You need 6 million shillings. That's a financial need. Somebody in the family, there's a health crisis. Standing between them being alive and them dying is like 10 million. Like the hospital is not going to move on a surgery until you put 10 million, you don't have it right away. That's a financial need. School fees. Schools have just opened. You can see the school fees rates have just jumped up to the skies. You have 5 children. You need to take care of them. It could also be something not so critical, like there's a lucrative venture somewhere else that you want to dive into, which is not necessarily in line with the circle, but it's just your own other, let's say Bitcoin or whatever, something else you want to dive into, and it's a passion for you. So those could be your financial needs and many others. But what options do you have? What options do you have? So it could be income from your employment. That's one option. It could be money from business. That's another option. It could be a loan from PSAVE. Remember, this is a real option. So you might have school fees and a health crisis that is unexpected at the same time. So maybe income from your employment can pay fees. Maybe money from business can pay fees, but the health crisis, really, you didn't see that coming. You couldn't even have planned for it, right? That's where the loan from PSAVE comes. But remember, if you're not saving enough, there's only so much you can also borrow from PSAVE. If you're not saving regularly, if you've not built your base, if you've not built your equity, then you can only get a loan of so much. So if the health crisis needs 10 million and in PSAVE you can only get 4 million, you start to scratch your head because remember it's between life and death. You really need to get the other 6. So you go to the bank. The bank says, let's say you're a business person, prove to me how much revenues you're making, should give me security, all these many requests they ask for. And maybe you don't meet some, maybe you meet others. Because of the way you respond to the bank, they don't also give you the full 6M. Maybe they give you 2. They say you're risky, we can give you 3, you know? So there you are. You still are looking for 3M because you wouldn't want your person to die. Then you go to the loan shark. Now we know the bank has rates that are much higher than PSAVE. We know the loan shark is even more exorbitant than the bank. So these are your options in life. But what is your responsibility to ensure that you have the most financially viable option to meet your financial needs? So you have a role to play as a member. If you saved, the loan from PSAVE would be enough because you would have enough equity upon which to have a basis to withdraw. The interest rate is the most lucrative of the 3 options of borrowing listed here. So that is key. Borrow only for prudent reasons. Sometimes people borrow for, I want to get the latest phone. You know what I mean? I want to get the latest phone. Those are not very prudent reasons in my view. So borrow for prudent reasons. Things that you're either adding value socially. I mean, like if somebody is getting better in terms of their health, that's value. Or something that maybe is going to make you earn even more money, like business support, like the lucrative venture. So borrow for reasons that are prudent. So be very strict with yourself. Some of these very luxurious reasons, let them buy those things with money outside of your savings, outside of here. If you have any extra money outside of here, only borrow what you can afford to pay back. I think sometimes we bite more than we can chew and then we get stuck. We bite more than we can chew and then we get stuck. So borrow what you can afford to pay. Look at what the monthly payments should be. How much do you need to pay back? Can you truly afford that monthly repayment? So sit and look at your income coming in. It might be from business, might be from employment. Remember, we've removed tithe, we've removed the tax has gone, we sent our savings in, and then now we incur our operational costs at home, fees, food, all that. The number that you need to pay back in the loan does it fit within that pie that you have? It must fit within that pie. If you need to borrow so much, let's say you need to borrow 20M, but when you look at the monthly payments, you really can't afford it. You'd rather borrow in pieces. So you borrow a small portion first, pay it back, and then borrow again another portion, pay it back, like that. So that's the discipline you want to have, because you don't want to have something so huge, you're just choking all the way from the beginning. Very key, very, very key. Have the discipline to pay back within the expected time. I'm sure there are rules within the circle by which you should have paid and all that. You see, this last one is what can lead a circle totally down the drain. Totally down the drain. Because if you don't pay on time, it's like shooting yourself in the foot. You're shooting the very engine that you want to take you to your financial dreams. If you don't pay back on time, and then the circle is cash strapped, and then in a few months, you yourself, you might want money again, but remember, you still haven't paid back the old one. Not only that, even from a humane perspective, when you don't pay back, then it affects other members who might come after you to borrow, how much they can get and all that. So don't choke the vehicle. Don't choke the vehicle that is trying to take you to your financial dreams. And one of the ways of choking it is not paying back at all, not paying back on time. Why do people have to chase you? Have a personal responsibility, because when you borrowed that money, you should have worked out how much can I afford? How much can I pay back per month? You know, is this something I can chew? Yes or no? And worked out how much you needed to get. So very, very key. So this is the credit arm. Remember, we said there's the credit arm and the investment arm. This is what the credit arm really would do for you in terms of setting your goals and in terms of achieving them. Now, the other arm is assuming that another portion of your regular savings is allocated to investments. So the investment arm. So the investment arm, for it, it's not looking really at your needs. It's looking at now your financial goals. What are your financial goals? And this is like a whole new, it's opening a whole new world for you. If you've only been doing saving and credit, this is a whole new world for you, which can be beneficial to the members, to the circle as a whole. What are your goals? How can you achieve them? What is your responsibility? Your responsibility will always be there. What is your responsibility that you have to do to ensure that you can achieve the goals you set for yourself? Now, you should have short-term goals, medium-term goals, long-term goals. Short-term goals, you'll say, I need to always have a certain amount of funds for a rainy day. I must have a certain amount of funds for a rainy day at all times. That's a short-term goal, because that rainy day can pop up on you at any time. Your medium-term goal could be, how do I earn passive income? So I have funds for the rainy day, which I get anytime and make sure I put back. But what about earning passive income? Nothing wrong with that. You have another medium-term goal. How can I generate active income? So it could be employment, or it could be besides my employment, I want to do some other agricultural activity. What else can I do to generate active income? I could do a side hustle. I sell this, I do that. Generating active income. Passive income is the one that is generated when you're sleeping. Active income is the one where you kind of hustle to get it, right? Then long-term goal is, how do I preserve wealth for myself and my family? That's a very key question. Faith, I can't see any hands, so I don't know if there's any hands up or the like, but I don't know if I should first finish the presentation and then take questions. Kindly advise me on that.
Yes, you could go through the presentation, then we'll have the questions at the end.
Thank you, Faith. All right, so there you are, there are your financial goals. Very nicely written, beautiful. How are you going to achieve them? You have to scratch your head on that. So remember, the circle is a vehicle to you achieving your financial goals. So if you're saving, then you're getting interest income. That interest income, one could look at it as funds for a rainy day. And remember, the more savings, the more interest income, because interest income is on the savings that you invest in the circle. That's one way. In terms of passive income, remember, passive income, we said, is money you earn when you're asleep. So dividends, surely after I buy a share, I don't need to do anything after that. The circle just has to do its magic and pay me a dividend. But the responsibility you have is to keep injecting savings, but also buying more shares. Because remember, dividends are paid per share. So if you want this passive income to grow, then put a number, like I said, every quarter. So every month you save, every quarter you buy maybe 10 shares. You put a number, I don't know how much a share is in PSAVE, or 100 shares or 50 shares. Every quarter, every quarter, every quarter, every quarter. This passive income is going to grow so big, you won't even understand what's happening because the dividends are paid out per share. The interest also, the more you save, the interest also grows in linearity with the savings. They're correlated. So dividend payments can be your passive income right there in PSAVE. Medium term, how do I generate active income? So if the circle takes up this arm called the investment arm, and say starts to invest in long-term assets. So let's say the circle will be able to buy, I don't know, 100 acres somewhere, and then says we are renting out different plots at so much. That amount obviously would be cheaper than the market, hopefully. So you as a member can rent out a plot, do your agricultural stuff, or rent it out to store some of the things you sell, that kind of thing. So you can have access to assets easily because you trust your circle. They would have gone through the headache of buying the land, subdividing it, and all that. Long-term preservation of wealth. Same example of land. The circle could buy so many acres, break them down into plots, say, guys, we're selling these plots at this amount. That is such a headache off of you as an individual, because you trust the circle. They've gone through the headache of subdividing, opening boundaries, all that manner of stuff. It's subdivided, you have a title to each plot. You buy your few plots and you preserve your wealth like that. You as an individual can decide to rent it out, or you could decide to build something on that plot. So that's how you preserve your wealth through the circle. However, all these things are possible if you do your part. If you do your part, you set an amount every month, you save. You set an amount every quarter maybe, or every 2 months, or even every month if you can, and you purchase shares. So every time you put money into the circle, you're opening up all these possibilities here where we're saying, how do you achieve them? So every money you put, you should not look at it. You're not doing anybody a favor. You're actually doing yourself a favor. So it's opening up avenues for you to benefit from all these, the short, the medium, and the long-term financial goals. So purchase shares. Don't be shy. Purchase them every so often, and you'll see how much the circle will thrive, and how much you yourself will meet your financial goals, and you'll meet your financial needs. Remember the credit arm? So you can meet your financial needs, the immediate ones, but you can also have long-term financial goals. Ownership of assets. So you get to own assets, like I'm saying. You own assets, you rent out assets. Then you also exploit the social benefits, especially from the perspective of the credit arm. Because let's say if somebody is ill, you borrow money quickly, they get out of hospital. That's a socially value-adding experience, even if you didn't make a return on it in terms of profit, right? Then capital gain on capital. So if you acquire land as a circle, subdivide it, then you as a member, you get your 2 plots. Those 2 plots are going to grow in the value, like the land itself will appreciate. That's what capital gains is. The difference with this long-term versus the others don't gain in capital. So where you buy a treasury bill and you give the government, remember, a treasury bill is you lending the government, and then they promise to pay you back with an interest. That's what a treasury bill is. So you buy a treasury bill, you give the government 10 million. Then they say, we will give you at a rate of maybe 13% per annum. All you're getting from that 10 million that you put in is the 13% per annum. Finally, when they pay you back, the principal 10 million will come back just the way it is. But when you talk about long-term assets like land, like property, not only can you rent it out, which is like the interest income, that rental income would be like the interest income, which you get maybe every month, but also that very asset itself, it's not coming back to you in principal terms. It's coming back to you having gained value. So it was 10M when you bought the plot. In 3 years, it's 30M, or it's 25M, or it's, so it's not the same. So you gain both ways. And so you gain income streams. So it's capital gains and income streams. So that's what the investment arm can do for you that the other credit arm might not necessarily do for you. So still on the investment arm, I just want to run through options without going too much into them. So you have liquid assets. Obviously you have to have a certain level of liquidity we talked about, but more than just having liquidity in unit trusts, you also have to have some money in the bank. Sometimes you need operational money to run operational activities. So you need money really ready now, not 3 days, not 2 days. So you can consider having a certain threshold, and you should have that threshold as a SACCO. This is the percentage that should be in cash. This is the percentage that should be in short to medium term. Those are the unit trusts and treasuries. This is the percentage that should be in long-term investments. So you have your UGX. You can also have other currencies, because other currencies, especially those stronger than the shilling, means your money is gaining. So these are all liquid options, right? Liquid assets. Then you have short-term to medium-term assets. You have the unit trusts, like what UAP is offering, where you invest your money, you can take it out anytime, you can put whatever you want at any time. They prorate on a daily rate. They have a daily interest income rate on the balance. It's compounded. So on the balance the day before, something like that. So unit trusts are very versatile. They're not as liquid as what you have in your bank, because they need at least 2-3 days, but they're definitely workable. You can use the fixed deposits in banks. Those ones usually have a stricter timeline, maybe a month, maybe 3 months, where you put money for 3 months with a fixed rate, it comes back to you, and that's that. Those are short-term options of growing your money as a SACCO. You have treasury bills, which I think is what you're doing. You already have that. Treasury bills, usually within a year, you lend to the government, they pay you back at a rate that you know, and you expect that money on an exact date. So these two are what you're doing currently, is what you can do. These are the options you have now as a SACCO, as a strict SACCO. But if you take up the other arm, where you're a multi-purpose cooperative, then you have something opened up to you. Like I mentioned, where the SACCO owns land and the members benefit quite directly. Property, same story. It could be buildings, it could be whatever. You could have treasury bonds. So this is like treasury bills, just longer and hence a higher interest. Remember, all these things, you would be having a certain portion of funds dedicated to them. So you don't have to worry that if we buy land, how shall we be able to borrow? That means there'll be no money. No, that doesn't hold, because remember we said there's a portion allocated to this type of investment arm, and there's another portion dedicated to credit. So your credit and borrowing will continue, and there'll be money for it, and it will be readily available. This is just the arm we're trying to create to benefit from the longer term. You could buy stocks. MTN had an IPO the other day. You could buy any stocks on the Uganda Stock Exchange market, Securities Exchange market. Stocks also work. You invest in a company, they make a profit, you get a return as a SACCO now. Insurance. I think insurance, you already have an arm there. There are various insurance products that can be good for members. And as a SACCO, you are forced to reckon with. So when you approach an insurance company as a SACCO, you say, we want the life insurance for each of our members. What good rate can you give us? Because we're bringing you 2,000 members. So definitely they can't give you the same rate as if I worked individually as Lisa. The other thing they do is like funeral covers. You can have funeral covers for all the members. So those kinds of things, they're good products for the members. And you can also have long-term assets like the life insurance for the members. Commodities, this one might be not very common in Uganda, but still very possible. You could own diamonds, gold abroad, in Dubai, even in South Africa. Some of these things are very common in the outer countries. So once you get there, you could decide to really diversify widely internationally. Last but definitely not least is forestry. So you as a SACCO, with time, with money, you buy 100 acres, you plant eucalyptus trees, they grow. You're not only being beneficial to the environment as a SACCO, you're not only having an impact in the environment, but also when those trees mature after about, I think, 8 years, you can sell them. On 100 acres, you definitely, if you sold all those trees, you'd get more than 1 billion shillings in today's value of money, much more than 1 billion shillings. So it's those kinds of things where you're thinking totally out of the strict box of a SACCO. But remember, it all starts with you. It's only the money that you put in that the SACCO can do all these wonderful things. So the less you save, the less opportunities you have. The less shares you buy, the less dividends you get, and the less the SACCO can grow. So the urging here is to save, get a fixed amount, get a fixed frequency, monitor the performance of the SACCO, ask questions to your leaders. Don't be shy, like participate, be involved. This year should be different from the last. Pay up, pay your debts, pay all the borrowings you have. If you haven't paid, pay it up, because you're biting the hand that is feeding you if you don't pay. You're shooting yourself in the foot if you don't clear your debt. So I just want to paint a picture for you. The circle has cash inflows and also has cash outflows, right? That's the normal way any organization would operate. So what are those things that bring in money in the reserves of PSave? Savings. When members save, that builds the reserves. When they buy shares, that builds the reserves. Then we also have income from investments. So all these treasury bills and unit trusts, they're bringing in the interest income. It adds to that reserve, right? Then we have interest from loans, because the circle is giving loans to its members. The members are paying back, hopefully, with interest. That's interest income for the circle. Then obviously the principal loan repayments. When that money comes back, it comes back into the kitty. It replenishes the reserves. But remember, the circle also has payments to make, payouts. So borrowings. And remember, borrowings, even when you save, you don't only remove what you save. You're allowed to remove up to 2 times. So think about that. So borrowings is money out times 2. You have operational expenses, because the circle needs to run, salaries have to be paid, all these things. Even when we get into the investments that we do, sometimes there's just facilitation expenses of getting from one point to another and all that. So operational expenses are real. Interest paid on savings. So the savings that you have, the circle has to pay an interest amount on your savings. So that's money out, right? Now, imagine a situation where we are not very keen on saving. We don't really save much. We save sometimes, but even when we save, we don't put anything that challenges us really or stretches us. People don't really buy shares. Okay, we've crossed that source of income out, right? Then it's a struggle for people to repay their loans. It's a fight. It's chasing people. It's spending, in fact, more operational costs, calling them, chasing them, getting a debt collector, all that kind of stuff. You're spending more to collect what you lent out, for people who know the rules. So let's strike that off. Let's say there are people who are just not paying. Then those who are not paying the principal obviously means they're not paying the interest also, because they kind of go together. So the only thing you have there for your circle, for your dear circle called PSave, is income from investments. Now remember, even the income from investments, if we look at treasury bills, you have to first give them a principal before you start earning the interest on it. So you needed to first pay out like 10 million shillings or 5 million shillings for you to then start earning that calculated interest on it. And in some cases, you can only get that money after a certain period. So it's not also there all the time. So you see the stream of income really that you're hanging onto for life. Really, if you're not doing these other great principles, then is only income from investments. But even the investments, if you're not getting money from these other sources, the principal that you can put in cannot be that much either. However, these other payments kind of are more domineering, and people are demanding, I want to borrow. You know, if you don't get the money, you're angry, you're saying, what's the point of this circle? So borrowings, people are coming and want borrowings, fine. Operational costs, that's the only way the circle remains afloat. So this one has to happen. Payments on savings, this is a commitment that the circle has to its members. Any savings you have, we have to pay interest. So I'm just drawing a picture for you to see how critical it is for you in terms of this engine that you want to work for you, to save, to purchase shares, to get it working, to get it well oiled. It's very critical that you participate, even in terms of paying back your loans. Nobody should have to follow you, because I think everybody's above 18 here. Everybody is an adult. You should have that financial discipline. What's the net position? That's the question you should ask yourself. That's the food for thought. Is the circle in a net positive reserves position? Or have you milked it dry? Or is it choking? Are you taking out more than you're putting in? You know what I mean? It kind of reminds me of the 5 wise virgins, the ones who had oil for the time when they needed to go out and light their lamps, and the ones who didn't, you know? So here, before you know it, it will be time to step out with your lamp, and you can't light your lamp because you didn't do what you needed to do to have the oil to light the lamp. So this year, challenge yourself to be financially disciplined challenge yourself to work towards the good of the circle, and look at this circle as part of an extension of you. It's your baby. It's a thing you want to see thriving. Each and every member has to think like that. So what are the takeaways? So in setting and achieving your financial goals, focus, sit down and think, what's my vision? How does it align with PSAVE's vision? PSAVE's vision, mission, is to grow members' savings through smart investments and attractive credit. So what is your vision in PSAVE? Why are you here? How long are you here? What do you want to achieve in here? You have to know that for yourself. It cannot be that I came because my friend told me it was a good idea. Maybe that was good for the beginning, but now that you're here, chart out a path for yourself. Set a short-term goal, set a medium-term goal. Passive income, how much? How much are you saving every month? How many shares do you buy every quarter? What does that mean by the end of the year? And if you increase those savings by 20,000 or 50,000 every year, where will you be in 5 years? You write that out, calculate all that, and then get aggressive in now participating in the circle, in the money you put in the savings, in the purchasing of shares, and then get this engine, crank it up, get it moving to serve you. So use PSAVE to achieve your social and financial needs and goals. Remember the social aspect we talked about from the credit arm. We talked about financial needs, which are met still by the credit arm. And then we talked about financial goals, which can be met by an investment arm. So focus, be laser focused at a personal level. Strategize. How are you going to enjoy attractive credit? The thing we talked about is, what are you borrowing for? Do you need to borrow? And what you're borrowing for, is it a prudent reason? Or is it a luxurious reason? Are you acquiring smart investments? Are you doing your part and then challenging the circle to then say, no, since we're now, maybe the first thing is to say, can we be a multi-purpose cooperative? That's the first discussion to have. Why not? You will decide which way you want to take. But if you take that route, then it's to say, okay, now let's start acquiring smart investments, much bigger than the short and medium-term investments, right? So strategize along with your leaders, because they report to you, the members. You, the members, are their boss. So kind of take a front seat on this thing. Don't take a back seat as a member and just be there. Sometimes you come, sometimes you don't. When did I last save? I don't remember. What's my equity? I'm not sure. Kind of take a front seat, because this is directly affecting your financial goals, your financial needs, even your social needs to a good extent. What's your attitude? That's exactly what I'm talking about. What's your attitude? Is this the thing that you just want to milk dry, that you want to choke out? So don't eat your seed. Don't invest and withdraw before it grows. If they say we pay interest of X per month, and you bring your money on 1st of the month, by 20th, you're like, I think I need that money back, before it has even earned 1 shilling of interest. So don't eat your seed. Think far, think long-term, plan. Do not bite the hand that feeds you. This circle is the hand that feeds your financial dreams. So then don't cut it off. Don't fail to pay back your loans, because you're only spiting yourself, because then you can't borrow tomorrow. And also you're choking it that it can't invest in lucrative investments, even the short-term ones, the medium-term ones, to then give back to you, through dividends, to give back to you through interest, to give back to you through share price increases. There's a lot for you to benefit if this circle is well-oiled. Are you disciplined? So in the year of 2022, cast the past aside. Just say, starting January. Good thing we're still in January, a few days to the end of January. But January, I want to start saving diligently. I don't want to only save, I want to even grow in my savings, because also the interest income will grow along with how much you grow. Stretch yourself, challenge yourself. In those months which are good, put more than the minimum. Remember, we said we're setting a minimum per month. So on those good months, don't just say, no, I put 50. That month put 100, put 150. Challenge yourself, stretch yourself. That's the only way you're going to grow. If you don't save, you're not going to grow. Rather, you're going to die slowly. You might not die in one day, but you'll be regressing, even if you can't see it. Take an interest. Do you read? Read widely. Read about circles, read about investment clubs, because there are things you pick, especially for the investment arm. Remember, if we're trying to go down that road. So just read widely, listen to others, those who've been successful especially. What are they doing? where would you rank yourself? Also, it's good to say, where do we rank ourselves as PSAFE on a scale of 1 to 10? Are we a 5? Are we a 7? Are we a 2? You know, and then say, how far can we go? Be keen on the success of PSAFE, because PSAFE's success should be directly linked to your own financial success. So take an interest. This is an engine that can really, really spur you to great heights at an individual level. So these are kind of like the 5 things I would like you to take away. I'm open for any questions.
Wow. Thank you so much, Lisa. That was very, very, very insightful. And yes, the questions are already rolling in. I will not take a lot of time. Maybe we'll start with a comment and then we'll get into the question. So somebody commented that forestry is very risky and when it's not professionally managed. Could you comfort them?
Okay, so can I take that?
Yes, you can take that. Then I'll read the bulk of the questions after. Okay.
So forestry, indeed, it's risky. It's just like, you see, it's just like, I'll give an example from an investment club perspective. So, you know, in Uganda, investment clubs are not, they are not regarded as legal entities. So they cannot own any property just as an investment club. They have to register as something. So in that process of saying we want to register, you could sit and say we can do it ourselves. But the truth is, if your club does not have any lawyers, then you're lying to yourselves. So even here, same thing, analogy I'm bringing to say, if you don't have forestry experts in the circle, definitely go and hire, like spend to gain. So you have to spend on that, and quite a bit, because you'll need that person, maybe for the first 2 years, seated in that forest, ensuring the planting and the growing. I know those delicate stages. So yes, indeed, hire an expert, a professional, you pay, and then the trees get what can I say? They can grow on their own after, I think, year 2. You need somebody and you need experts for at least the first 2 to 3 years. After that, then the trees are strong enough to just grow on their own and you keep checking still through the experts. So I agree with whoever is asking the question, and that would be the solution. It's almost like they answered their own question.
All right. Okay, so I'm just going to read all the other questions. They are similar. They are mostly around investment, except one that is an outlier, and then you can answer them at once.
Okay.
So the first one, the outlier is, how can we know unreliable circles so that we avoid them, or unreliable savings groups so that we avoid them? I think this one has had bad experience with their money being mismanaged. The next question is, kindly shed more light on T-bills, and I will add bonds, and how to acquire them. Then the other was more light on commodities and how to invest in them. The other was, is, what are some lucrative investment options in Africa where someone can actually make money? And then the last 2 more, you made an allusion to Bitcoin. Many Christians are suspicious of cryptocurrencies. Can you give us some light on that? And the last one for now, what can you say about some economic situations that can force one to withdraw before they earn interest? So what can they rely on? Yes, those are the questions for now.
All right. So unreliable, how do you know what circles or investment groups are unreliable?
Yes.
So I think the question to them would be, is it something you're starting, or are you joining an existing one? So if you're starting, that would be a different answer entirely. But if you're joining an existing circle or group, I would definitely look at their performance in terms of, do they have financial statements, number one. If we're talking circles, which are usually very huge, like 2,000 and above, it's hard to say, look at the members. Huh? But if it's an investment group, which are 12 people, maybe under 20, those ones you can look at the persons and even do a bit of your research. What kind of people are they? What kind of standing do they have in society? Maybe, are they known to be crooks, that kind of thing. But critically is to look at their financial statements to show you the financial performance over the years. Are they growing? Have they been growing? Because it's one thing to collect funds, it's another thing that your funds are growing. Like we said, you collect, you invest in land, but then the land grows. So it means the SACCO or the investment club is growing. Those are the two things I would look at. I would look at the people, if it's reasonable. A SACCO might not be reasonable because there's so many, but I would definitely look at their track record in terms of financial statements and any reports they have. I would really study. And if I'm not an accountant, I think I would get an accountant to kind of interpret those financial statements for me for the last maybe 5 years, if they've been there that long. So that's for checking how reliable SACCOs are. Somebody said, tell us about treasury bills and bonds. So treasury bills and bonds have been made easy. If you bank with, I don't know if it's all banks in Uganda, but definitely some of the big banks in Uganda, you can just go to your banker and say, I want to buy treasury bills, and they'll tell you everything through your account. And even the interest income will come back to your account in that bank. So it's been made easy because commercial banks have been roped in. They will tell you, so they'll guide you, they'll tell you what the interest rate is, that you'll sign documents about when the money should be deducted, that lending to the government. If you say, I want to pay it out on 26th of Jan, you'll see a deduction on your bank account on that day, and then they'll tell you when you should expect the principal back. Now, in terms of the interest, you can decide, I want to be getting the interest every quarter. And you even agree on every, maybe 31st of March, 30th of June, 30th of September. Those are my 4 dates in the year when I should get the interest, income, and then the principal can come on 31st December. I don't know if it makes sense. Or you could say, me, I don't want anything. Just give me the whole lump sum on 31st December, principal and interest. So that's for treasury bills and bonds. The difference between bills and bonds is bills are less than a year old, a year, up to a year. So you lend and say you need all your money back within a year, by 1 year. And then the bonds can go 3 years, 5 years, So even those ones you can lend your principal. And then what people do is they can lend it for even 10 years and then say, as long as my interest income comes in every quarter or every month. Every quarter, I think, is the minimum amount of time. So that's why you hear people saying bonds make sense when you have so much money. That's what they say, but I kind of don't entirely agree. I think what people are saying is because if you give government like 100 million, for example, and the rate is 10% per annum, that's 10 million for a year. Every quarter, that's about 2.5. So you get 2.5 in your bank account every quarter. So the reason why I say I don't agree with the fact that it makes sense to put big monies, but even with small monies, everything is proportionate. So none is better than the other. It's just everything is according to what you've given. If you've given small, it will be 11% on the small amount. If you've given big, it's 11% on the big amount. I hope that's clear. Then the next person asked about commodities. So I don't know if they're asking for themselves personally or for the SACCO.
I think you can answer for both.
Okay, for a group like a SACCO or an investment club, because I'm also aware that some people here belong to investment clubs, probably. So for SACCOs and investment clubs, what you would want to do, sometimes you have, so you can you register you register for a license. It's a long process, register for a license, especially if you're not based in those countries like Dubai, like South Africa. And then you go down that legal route. Now that's a long, cumbersome route. But what I would say, you can also look within your space, like this SACCO. I had the chair lady saying there's somebody from Dubai, actually. I think there's some people from other places. So what you do, you work with those people. So you say, Vivian, you're in Dubai. This is what we want to buy as a SACCO. Can you act on our behalf? Now, Vivian, who's there, can buy as an individual. It's faster. But what you do to protect yourselves as a SACCO or an investment club is then you have a custodian agreement with Vivian. So she has to kind of declare, you have to have like a legally binding document to say, Vivian, you bought this on our behalf. Maybe she even holds it, or you want to hold it in a bank, whatever. So basically, when somebody is living in a country, it's easier. If you have somebody living in the country, and then you, the SACCO, you have an agreement with that person, that they're the custodian of this asset, and you have a right to get it whenever you want, and you don't have to explain to them when you want it. You put all that in writing, and she signs, and then the person representing the SACCO or the investment club also signs an agreement, and that's a legal document. So that's for commodities. So lucrative investment options in Africa. So I'm not sure what this question is alluding to. I'm not sure what this question is alluding to. So I gave a whole host of different investments.
I think they are looking for any other, because you gave quite a number.
Oh, besides the ones
they're looking, yes.
So besides the ones I gave in Africa, it would be, I mean, it can even be the stock. What I know can be big is the stock exchange, say in a mature economy. So like South Africa is mature in terms of the stock exchange market. So one could say, let me go and buy shares in, you get a lucrative company here in South Africa, or you even go to New York Stock Exchange and say, I want to buy shares in Google, in Apple. I mean, there are companies, you know, we all know, everybody knows, that are doing really well. You look at their trends, obviously. If you don't understand that, you get your friend to interpret for you what all that means in lay terms. How have they been doing? What does it mean for me? You know, if they've been doing well for the past so many years, can I invest? Yes. What kind of returns should I expect? Somebody says you can get 3 times within this year. And then they also, in terms of the process of how to cross-reference your purchases of that stock. If you're not obviously an American, there'll be rules around that. So stock would be a big one in Africa. Okay, yes, in Africa, South Africa definitely is a more mature market in terms of the stock exchange. Then everything else I listed, including commodities, and everything else I listed, I think the ones that wouldn't be on the list I put maybe would be commodities in the rest of Africa and the stock exchange market. I think those would be big. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. This one, I have to be politically correct. I don't know, it's talked about Christianity. I can't say I'm very well conversant or well read on this. So maybe I would rather not comment on it. I think I would rather comment on what I'm knowledgeable about. This one I'm not entirely knowledgeable, I'll be honest. The Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency here. Then the last question is about economic situation. Please ask that again, about the economic situation.
Okay. What can you say about some economic situations that can force one to withdraw before they earn interest? Like, what can they rely on? Okay, so I think this person is painting a scenario where you've invested or you've had all these plans, but then, you know, because of the pressures of economy, you have to abort mission prematurely.
So is his question, what is the question?
I think just your thoughts. How would they handle? Is it okay for them to abort or?
So when they say economic, I think they're meaning like for themselves, like things are tough, right, financially.
Yes.
And then before you earn interest, maybe I think he's picking the example I gave about putting money on first, and then by 20th you're out, long before you earn interest. That's how I've understood it. I think I would say it's okay to sit because that's why I said, what's your personal situation? So sit and think and say, okay, I really want to be part of this thing called P-Save, which is taking me places, right? Am I ready to join today? Maybe I'm ready to buy a few shares for now and wait until I recover from whatever financial hardships you're going through, but maybe you're not also ready to start. So I think it also comes down to a personal, like assessing yourself personally and saying, but I'm very keen on starting, but maybe not today, or it's like not having a job and not having income. There you can't start, for example. So, but then it's to just have it on the radar. It's just to have it on the radar and to know the criticality of starting. Because remember, compounding is the thing that is your wealth growing out of linearity. In other words, if you have an asset of 1M, and then next year it will be 2M, and then in the third year it will be 3M, that would be the ordinary linear growth. But then compounding means in year 1 it's 1M, in year 2 it could be 4M, in year 3 it could be 5M. In other words, it's not moving linearly. So, but the longer, so it's a component of time and money, that compounding. It's how long have you had the thing in and how much money are you putting in it. That's why I'm saying even the savings, keep saving, have a minimum. So what's your minimum? So for this person in an economic situation, what's that minimum you can afford per month? Maybe 40K, 30, something for those hard times. But then that's just the minimum. When things bounce back, you get back and say, okay, I'm back in the game. You top up, put 60,000, whatever. But that money keeps growing in terms of compounding out of linearity. So I don't know if this answers this question. I hope it does.
I hope so. If your question is not well answered, we still have a few minutes. You could let us know. And then another question came through. How about investing in buying stocks? Should one buy SACCO shares before investing in stocks?
So I don't know if this person is already in a SACCO. So if they're already in a SACCO, I think you can also do both. I think in life, you're an individual. The SACCO is an engine. It's one engine. It's like how you can have employment, then you have a business, then you have a side hustle. Then, so for me, I look at investment clubs, SACCOs. These are all engines that are spurring you to a financial dream. So I don't think it should be one or the other. But if you're already in a SACCO, this is already an engine that is already in motion, number one. Number two, its capacity is much bigger than yours as an individual. So whereas you would be buying stocks of maybe 500K, that's what you can afford, PSEV can buy worth, worth maybe 50M, and usually with bulk, yes, with bulk comes perks. When you buy things in bulk, there's perks, there's better interest, there's like the insurance I was telling you. When you say here we are 2,000, they can't treat you like they would one individual person. So I would say don't ignore these engines like the SACCOs or the investment clubs. They can do much more than you would individually. So they're definitely not to be ignored.
All right, thank you so much, Lisa. Members, do we still have questions? Or is everything very clear to us? We still have a few minutes, 5 minutes for questions. So if you'd like for Lisa to respond to any question, you could just either put up your hand or type it in the chat, and she'll be more than glad to respond to those questions. If there's none, I will invite the CEO to say something. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you so much for listening to me.
I'll invite the CEO to make some comments. Madam CEO, are you there? Okay, while she comes, Lisa, this is my thought regarding. You said it doesn't matter if someone is the amount, that there's that usual word on the street that when you're buying stocks or investing, it's better you have a lot of money so that your returns are also big, which it's truth. But is it safe to say that for somebody who is, let's say, getting into a unit trust, if they do not have that much money that they invest in, could they leave it there longer? Would that sort of be a perk for them if it stayed in there longer?
So you're saying, you've talked about the unit trusts and the stocks like MTN shares, for example?
Yes.
So you're saying, are you asking which is better?
No. I am asking or alluding to the fact that you will correct me on that. For somebody who does not have a lot of money, maybe
yes,
they don't have the 20 million to maybe get into the unit trust, but they could have 1 million, and then they have 100 every month that they add to the trust.
Mm.
Would it be a perk for them if they left it untouched for a longer period? Yes.
Okay. Yes, definitely. First of all, you don't have to have 20 million to have it to invest in a unit trust. You just have to have a minimum, I think, of 200,000 or 100,000. So
100.
for the unit trust, I'm sure they give you interest, compounded interest. So definitely, if the longer you leave it, the faster it grows out of linearity. So it doesn't grow 1 times 2 times 3. It grows 1, 3, 5, 7. So yes, the longer you leave it, the more you'll get. And especially if you keep adding. Especially if you keep adding. You know, like if you say, now I got a 50, let me put it there. Because the unit trust, especially the umbrella trust fund, the one that's with UAP, it allows you to withdraw or put at any time.
Yes.
So now the discipline is any amount at any time, withdraw at any time. Now the discipline becomes yours in terms of, are you always withdrawing long before you even earn that interest for fun? That's the key question. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would request everybody to unmute and to just give Lisa a round of applause. Can we do that? Can we do that? Maybe turn on your video and unmute and let's just show her some love.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So much.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
That was awesome, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So I will invite the CEO to make a few remarks.
Thank you so much, Faith.
Thank you.
Hope I'm heard out there. Sorry, there was just a technical problem, but I want to wish the members Happy New Year to you all members. Thank you so much for attending this literacy training. Thank you so much, Lisa. I think my key things that I've taken away are, what are your financial goals? What is your financial responsibility? And how can you achieve them? I think that is my take home throughout the year, this year. And to our members, I would want to encourage you. This week we've been having our members week. And this week it's just to tell you, thank you so much for saving with yourself. Thank you for believing in us. And just to let you know that you're such an important part of our story, even as we move on ahead. So during this customer week, I would encourage us to save, to participate in the savings drive. And I would also encourage you to follow us on our social media handles and kindly visit any of our locations. There are just small gifts that you can take away when you visit our locations. And also you can engage with our staff on a cup of tea, just to hear what you have to say about PSAVE, how we can help you, and how we can do great business with you, because we are here to make sure that your money grows and to make sure that you achieve those financial goals and visions that you're yet to set, and those ones that you've set already. I believe this year we're going to have a very good year. Just looking that the country has also been open at such a time like this. But we want to just say thank you so much, and thank you for supporting PSAVE, and thank you for being with us. And we believe that we're going to do more than you can expect this year. Lisa has talked about the multi-purpose. Yes, we are planning to register PSAVE as a multi-purpose. Actually, I think we are done with that process. We're just remaining to get our certificate, because the last AGM, it was ratified that PSAVE transits to a multi-purpose. So we believe that once we have gotten our certificate, we'll be able to go into those investments of land, property, so that even as we're waiting for our members to pay off their loans, we will be able to have returns on investment, and these returns will be able to to go to our customers in terms of interest and dividend. And we hope to have a very beautiful year this year. Just keep saving with us. Just encourage your members, your friends to come and open up accounts with PSave. And I know you will not regret. Thank you so much. And I would just want to thank Faith, our secretary, for moderating this session very well. And also for our chairperson, Mrs. Priscilla Seruka, who started us off in a very good way. And just keep there, just make sure that you participate in this members week. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
Great. That's our CEO. Thank you so much, Mrs. Rosette Jingo. Okay, so I've seen a number of us inquiring if the recording is going to be shared. The tech team could give me accurate information, but I think it will be shared. Someone from the tech team, could you please confirm that if the recording will be shared? With those who did have bad network, a good network. Okay, tech team says you can check the YouTube page. Could you please share this, the link in the chat, so that someone can easily land on it. Okay, somebody asking where our head offices are. Head offices are in Makerere at Deliverance Church, Makerere, and the contact number has also been shared. No, it hasn't, but it will be, it's the number that was reaching out to you to let you know about this training, but also it is the number on the poster, on the e-poster 0785 290 901 and also 0754 200 900. The link to the YouTube channel has been shared. Let me try. Copy it. No. Could you share it to everyone? Tech team, share it to everyone because you only sent it to me. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. If there is no further question, I would like to bring this to a close. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for joining in and for learning. Let's keep the conversation going on the various platforms and let's share with others as well. So I'd like to pray as we close if there is nothing else to share. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for a beautiful morning. We thank you for the knowledge that you've imparted upon us this morning. And we pray that even as we continue to digest it, as we continue to process it, that it will indeed bear fruit in our lives, bear fruit in our finances, and even bear fruit in PSave. God, we pray that this that we do, these little additions that we do to be better in our finances, that they will indeed bear fruit. We commit the rest of the day into your hands, and we pray that we have a good week. In Jesus' name I have prayed. Amen. Amen. Thank you all for coming. Go ye forth and keep serving the Lord and keep winning in your financial goals. Till next time.